Hey, it's Larry. Thanks for listening. Happy New Year. Real quick, before we get into this episode, I had such an amazing, eye-opening, life-changing experience at the World Parkinson Congress in Kyoto that I want others to have that opportunity too. So Becca Miller and I and 24 of our PD community friends have launched a year-long WPC travel grant fundraiser. We're each doing a 2-week Facebook fundraiser. Mine's underway right now because my birthday's January 9th. All the money raised will be used to help offset travel costs so more people with Young Onset Parkinson's can attend the next WPC in Barcelona in 2022. You can search out details on the When Life Gives You Parkinson's Facebook page or donate directly to the WPC website. Go to WPC2022.org/YOPD fund. If you or your business would like to supply matching funds, hey, good on ya. Email me at parkinsonspod@curiouscast.ca. And now, on with the show. Hi, I'm Larry Gifford. I have Parkinson's disease, and I'm in Kyoto, Japan, bringing you insights and interviews from the World Parkinson Congress. This is the official podcast for the 5th World Parkinson Congress, a collaboration with the World Parkinson Coalition and my other podcast, When Life Gives You Parkinson's. June 6th was day 3 of 4 for the WPC 2019 in Kyoto, Japan. As we've done the last 2 podcasts from the World Parkinson Congress, we have a group of folks ready to go to share what they learned on day 3 of the conference.
My name is Jim Smerdon. I'm from Vancouver, British Columbia. My associations with Parkinson's is that I was diagnosed almost 13 years ago. Just really want to see people advocate for better research and more money raised for support.
G'day, I'm Andy McDowell. I'm from Auckland, New Zealand. I'm here with my family. This is my 3rd WPC. I've been fortunate enough to attend the last 3. Firstly, as a winner of the video competition in 2013 in Montreal. And in Portland, where I was lucky enough to be a plenary speaker. And today I just gave another presentation. That's my association.
Hi, I'm Andrew Davenport, and I'm with the Parkinson's Society of British Columbia. I'm on the board. My relationship with Parkinson's is my father has it, and this is the first conference I've been to.
I'm Rebecca Gifford. I'm Larry Gifford's wife and partner in Parkinson's, and I'm from Vancouver, British Columbia.
So what did we learn today on day 3 of the World Parkinson Congress? Jim, we'll start with you.
First and foremost, I learned never to underestimate a Japanese ping pong player, table tennis player, even if he arrives in a wheelchair, slumped over and looking totally unable to react. He jumps up and he thrashed me 11-2.
Wait a second. So you got beat by a Japanese ping pong player who was slumped over in a wheelchair.
I got beat by 3 Japanese ping pong players, the first of which arrived slumped over in a wheelchair, yes.
What did you learn about yourself through that process, Jim?
About me, I learned nothing about myself,
Andy, what did you learn through today?
Well, I was very fortunate in my presentation to let my children have a say, and I think I learned how resilient your children are, and you've got to trust them with the information that's age appropriate to them, but you've got to share what's happening with you as the disease progresses, because they're part of the journey. And if you don't give them the respect of giving them the information that they need, then you're doing them a disservice. So part of being a parent is actually sharing some of the load with them when they're old enough to do so.
This is a good time. I actually talked to your daughters after that presentation, and let's listen to our conversation right now.
Hi, I'm Lily McDowell. I'm from Auckland, New Zealand, and my dad has Parkinson's disease.
Hi, I'm Pearl McDowell. I'm from Auckland, New Zealand, and my dad has Parkinson's disease.
You guys gave a great presentation today to a room full of people that were really interested in what you had to say. How did you come up with what to share?
Well, Dad texted me a long list of options, and I just kind of sat down, and Pearl and I just had a chat about some stuff that we do and like live and stuff, and we just put it onto paper.
So there are a lot of kids like you who have moms or dads with Parkinson's. What would you say to them?
You're not alone.
yeah, like, you got this. It just, the more time you spend with it, the more it becomes familiar and the easier it gets. It's not the end of the world.
What's the strangest part?
People's looks, I guess.
Yeah. You know?
How do you handle that?
It's kind of uncomfortable. You just like kind of think in your head, well, they don't know the whole story, so just bye.
I think I deal with it pretty okay because, you know, I'm human. I do it too. You know, when I look at people, I'm like, because you don't know what's going on with them. I don't go like ooh or anything. I'm just I wonder, and I know that people do that too. And it's just normal human stuff. So
Do your friends say anything?
Not really, because it's not really a topic that friends bring up because, like, they don't want to offend you in any way or something like that.
My friends, I'm always very upfront with it. Like, if I meet somebody new and it just happens to slide into conversation, I'm like, yeah, this is that. And then like, oh, that's interesting. And it's just, you know, it's pretty normal. They're all very good about it. I wouldn't surround myself with people who are mean.
So when you talk about Parkinson's with friends or with strangers or teachers or whatever, how do you explain what it is?
I just say it's a disease, basically, that kind of affects the brain, makes you just shake a lot. I don't go too into detail because me personally, I do know a little bit about it, but like I'm not that smart with all the neurological things.
Neither am I.
For a long time, I just kind of bluffed my way through it because I didn't really know what to say. Like, I was just kind of like, my dad's just got a disease. It's just, you know, blah, 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 blah. So then I kind of like took to Google and I just tried to find a better way to explain it in a short way without going too into depth. So I just say it's a neurological disease which can affect like your movement and speech sometimes, and just kind of wrap it up.
Oh, good. Well, that's good. That's very handy. Do you have fears? What are your fears?
Well, as any child would have, that always, I think even with people without Parkinson's, their parents, they always have fears about their parents, you know, just like natural ones, like if they die or something. But I'm not really scared about anything because he's just like a normal person, just something that happens come into his life that now just apparently changes everything, but for me, not really.
I get scared for my parents a little bit with the mental health aspect. I'm like, I worry, like, are they like, how's this taken effect on them? I'm a little worrier myself, and so I kind of, it's such a hard thing to deal with, and I just wonder like how did they react and stuff. They've always been very good about talking with us about that stuff.
Well, you guys are doing a great job, and thank you for speaking out. And I can tell that you have a dad that really loves you, and that you really love him, and that's great. So thank you.
No problem.
Thank you very much.
Quite cute to hear Lily say that. I mean, it's. I would have said Pearl to be the fierce one, but that's really cute.
You should be really proud of them.
I am. I mean, it's not a small matter for them to get up in front of 100-odd people and speak, and they do it with aplomb. So I'm very proud daddy, yeah.
That's awesome. Andrew, what did you learn throughout the day?
I think, learned lots of different things. I think that, probably the first thing that struck me is a presentation which was done which was done by people with Parkinson's which were, in the presentations and the stories they told are very inspirational in terms of dealing with it and moving forward with it. And I think there was a lot to take away from that.
As a board member of an organization like the Parkinson's Society of British Columbia, what do you take back from this whole event to the rest of the board and to the community? And how can you take this energy and this enthusiasm and this spirit and activate it back home?
I think events like this are great. I think it gives you a perspective of the developments that are going on in Parkinson's. And the one which also struck me as the opportunity for collaboration with other organizations, and it goes to organizations in, New Zealand or Japan or Australia or the U.S. And there's a lot of disparate societies that have a lot of great ideas. I think the final thing which struck me was on the wearables and technologies and where that's going, because there's some obvious opportunities there, and also with respect to collecting data and information, as a group of people holistically, and which hopefully will advance finding cures and developing technologies which will actually help people with the disease. So
yeah, the wearables is an interesting one because they have some cool ideas, and there's some neat things that are coming down the pike, but like they haven't come. They're not quite there yet.
Yeah, it's still very nascent, and you can see that, right? So there's a long way to go with what they can do with the using wearables and tech and apps, and and it's also sort of using more simple things like how do you design a spoon, for eating
hopefully really big ones. I'm hungry. Can you tell I'm hungry?
I can there.
All right, Rebecca, my darling, what did you learn today?
I knew you were going to ask that question, and the first thing that came to mind was how vibrant and hungry for information and connection that the YOPD community is.
Yeah.
And we went to a fantastic, Andy was part of one of the presenters on the one that we just did with that was YOPD focused, and at the end of it, in the question term, a gentleman from Ireland came up and said, there are 3 of us from Ireland, we have YOPD, and we're here and we want to help organize something that's YOPD specific. And other people were saying, oh, well, we're thinking about that too, and how can we collaborate? And there was a whole collection of people up in the front in the corner who were very excited to considering and kind of craving and hungry for that connection with other YOPD. We're a subset, but we're a subset with very different needs and a desire for different tools and resources and connection. And so the fact that we were here and able to connect, but everybody was from different countries, it was just saying, okay, well, then we need to organize across countries and really make this something that, with the magic of technology and travel and all of that, let's make this a true community.
Which is amazing. And Andrew, I'd like to get your perspective on this, because I find that a lot of the things that we do in Vancouver, which is around fundraising and advocacy, the demographics of Parkinson's disease is clear. It's an old person's disease majority. But there's a huge contingent of young people who have this disease. Sadly, it's growing, but we have energy and we're interested in doing fundraising and stuff like that. So the fact that there's people from Ireland who are out here interested in looking for people to do things with, does Parkinson's BC have any intention on focusing on the YOPD?
Yeah, I think that we should, and I think that we have to, right? We should tap into the wider community and leverage that.
Put a gun to his head. What are you going to do about it? No, I'm just kidding. No, but I think it's important because it is we've got a group of people that gets together for dinner. They're like, we all have YOPD. Like there's an audience there, but all the programs. Most of the programs in Vancouver, where we're from, are during the day. Well, we got jobs.
Yeah.
We can't go to those.
No, that's a great point.
How are the programs in New Zealand?
I don't really need them aware a lot. I'm lucky that I don't work. I mean, that's irony, isn't it?
Aren't you a lucky man?
Yeah, well, I achieved my goal of retiring by 50, but it wasn't quite what I wanted. Programs, there aren't really any programs.
No. Do you have a community there of people that you that help that are also YOPD?
There are a handful of people I know who got Young Onset in Auckland. My community is online.
I'm happy to be a part of your community.
Yeah,
I'd like to be a part of it.
You have to get online, Jim.
I am online.
Okay. He's right there. The other thing that I noticed today is that this morning in the plenary session, it was all about the personalized treatment plan that is certainly on the horizon. They can't. It's not one pill fits all. It's not one prescription fits all Parkinson's, and they're scientifically proving that they have to approach all these different subsets of Parkinson's differently, and that's an exciting advancement because as soon as we acknowledge that, then we can begin to tackle each of these subsets individually instead of it just being all just whitewashed Parkinson's.
Yeah, it strikes me as being ridiculous that they haven't got the subtype thing sorted out yet.
It really is. It's. I mean, there's no question about it. So let's just make it up on our own, okay? We'll write a paper and get it published, and we'll be done with it. Like that's the thing that is frustrating is things take so long to get done. We don't have that much time. Like we're in it now. We're fighting for it now. So let's make it happen.
Yeah. One of the things I really appreciate about the WPC Congress is the posters. Like I was telling Andrew, I could literally spend hours walking through the posters and learning about all the fantastic research. They have dogs that can smell Parkinson's, and a woman can smell Parkinson's as well. Like my question to all these researchers, and I've yet to get a decent answer, is what does it mean to them, the fact that you look around in the opening ceremonies and all the large groups of people at this Congress, and there's such a diversity. It's like this disease covers every ethnicity, every geography, every demographic, every age cohort. It appears equally. What does that tell them about the causation and development of this disease if it affects everybody equally around the world? Does
what do they say?
They avoid answering usually. I don't get an answer.
Yeah, they're scientists. They won't answer unless they know, right? Yeah, they have to know. The other aspect was that I was very happy to see a lot of care partner specific, and I have a whole room now with support groups and programming that's specific to care partners. I would love to see more, but I will take any steps forward on that. And the programming was really good, and it was just, I was happy to see, and there was a lot of happy, enthusiastic involvement and desire for more information and everything as well.
Well, and I realized today that I like massage even better than I thought, because they got that massage room here, and that was glorious.
Yeah, good massage therapist.
But you got to sign up early. Got to sign up early if you want one.
It was good.
All right,
I can recommend.
Folks, thanks so much for taking some time to talk about the event today. I hope you enjoy day 4 of the World Parkinson Congress tomorrow.
Thanks, Larry.
Thank you.
Thanks, Larry.
Thanks, my love.
Love you.
I love you too.
So we're learning a lot about Parkinson's and new technologies and new focuses and inspirations. But we also need to continue to get to know the people with Parkinson's and share their stories, because the more we share our stories, the people with Parkinson's, the more awareness we bring to the disease, the more money we can raise, the more research we can do, so we can begin to address these important distinctions between the different subsets of this disease and treat them individually. One of those stories I've been following online for many, many months now. She's an inspiration to thousands around the world, and it's a real pleasure to introduce you to Omotola Thomas.
Not gonna miss the pain and fear, not gonna miss you anywhere, no. Not gonna miss you when you're gone, when you're gone, when you're gone. Not gonna miss you when you're gone. Not gonna miss the pain and fear, not gonna miss you anywhere, no. Not gonna miss you when you're gone.
My name is Omotola Thomas. Where I'm from is a loaded question, but I'll try to answer it. I was born and raised in Nigeria, I've lived in the U.S., South Africa, but now I live in the United Kingdom. I am a person with Parkinson's. I've had symptoms for 9 years, but was diagnosed 3 years ago at the age of 35.
All right, so Omotola, you're awesome. I loved your video that you made with your daughter. How did that come together?
When I saw that there was a competition for the World Parkinson Congress, she and I decided that we wanted to enter. And my daughter is very creative. She likes doing creative things, and she's not the type of child that really likes playing video games or computer games. She likes working with her hands and drawing. So we decided we will enter the competition. And one day I was lying down and I heard the song When You're Gone, and somehow, I don't know, I just connected it with Parkinson's. And I said, Mimi, let's change the lyrics to this song. And she said, okay, we can practice the cup song. And that was how we decided to use the cup song for the video.
It was great. And we were talking to Andy McDowell earlier, and his daughters were speaking in one of the presentations today.
Wow.
It's so cute and made me cry. But I love seeing all these people with Parkinson's and involving their kids in what's going on. How early after diagnosis did you begin to tell your family?
So I got diagnosed in 2016, which meant my daughter was 6 or 7, and my son was about 9. And in the best possible way that I could, I spoke to them immediately. I got diagnosed. I think it's important to be open with children, especially with an illness like Parkinson's disease that you can't hide. I can't hide my hands shaking from them. They see it. They see the rigidity and the stiffness. So I think as early as possible, I told my kids immediately. And even since my diagnosis, every change that I experience in a child-friendly way, I try to explain it to them, and I try to tell them my challenges. And the reason I do that is when they go to school, people ask them, why are your mom's hands shaking? Why, is her neck stiff? And I want them to be able to answer with confidence and not be afraid or embarrassed or shy. So.
You moved from Nigeria to the U.S. to South Africa to the U.K. How recent were those moves?
So I lived in Nigeria until I was 19. Moved to the U.S. in 2000 to further my education, and I lived in the U.S. for 13 years. So my first symptoms of Parkinson's started when I was in America in 2010. And I went to see so many doctors, did so many tests and scans, and nobody was able to figure out what was wrong with me. I took all of that with me to South Africa in 2013 and started the process of testing all over again because the doctors there wanted to do their own test. And it wasn't until late 2015 that one of the doctors in South Africa suggested that I go to the UK and get tested by one of their movement disorder specialists there. Coincidentally, that was about the time we were thinking of moving to the UK as well. It was coincidental. They weren't related. And then I got diagnosed in June in London, England.
So how many years from the time that the symptoms started to your diagnosis was it?
It took almost 6 years, and I went through, I think, way more blood tests, way more scans, way more doctor's visits than I think I should have. But I think that's the case with many people who are younger onset Parkinson's. But it took almost 6 years.
Do you think it was your age, your ethnicity, your gender? Which do you think played the biggest factor in them not thinking it was Parkinson's?
It's funny. I think it's a combination of all three. One of the doctors in South Africa said to me, I think you have a form of Parkinsonism, but it's hard for me to diagnose you with it because you're a young black female. This is an old white man's disease. Of course, we know that that's not the case now. But I think if I were to rank them in order, I would say ethnicity, age, then gender.
Having experienced healthcare in 3 very different countries, what's your assessment? Is there a comparison you can make between the 3?
Yes, actually 4.
4, okay.
Nigeria, South Africa, UK, and the US. Of all the countries that I've lived in, the only country where my access to healthcare is completely independent of my socioeconomic status is the UK. So I feel very fortunate enough to be able to live in a country where my access to healthcare doesn't depend on how much income I earn or how much money I have. It is certainly not the case in South Africa or in Nigeria. If you cannot afford healthcare, they don't have. I mean, they have some government subsidized programs, but that is for infectious diseases like HIV, TB, and none for non-communicable diseases like Parkinson's. And even in the US, I know there's Medicare and Medicaid, but Medicare is for those who are 65 and above, and you'd have to be under a very low income threshold to qualify for Medicaid in the US. So if you have an illness like Young Onset Parkinson's, of all the 4 countries that I've lived in, the UK would be my preferred option.
That's really interesting. I know I was not diagnosed in the U.S., but I was living in the U.S. when the symptoms were onset, but I was paying for my own insurance. And had I been diagnosed before I moved to Canada, I'd probably be bankrupt right now.
No, absolutely. It's a very scary illness to have, especially at this age. And when you have a family and young children, and then you have to think about private health insurance, it's a very tricky path to tread.
So here you are at the World Parkinson Congress 2019.
Yay!
You had you were on stage today talking about your tips and tricks for young onset Parkinson's, and this morning there was an interesting discussion in the hot topics about treating and catering to women who have Parkinson's. What are some of the unique aspects to dealing with Parkinson's as a woman?
I think, I don't remember where I read this, it was some journal that said, and I think it's common knowledge that all across the world, women tend to be the primary caregivers in their home. Now, when a woman has an illness like Parkinson's disease, and not only is she unable to take care of her family, she's unable to take care of herself, that tips the balance quite a bit, and has the potential to cause a lot of disruption in the home. So that's one aspect of it. Another aspect, obviously, is the hormonal aspect, where men don't tend to suffer from the same hormonal fluctuations that we do. So we have certain times of the month where our medications don't work at all. And that's very difficult to deal with. I don't think that's something you experience.
That's not something I experience, but I would think if a man experienced that, they'd find another pill. They would have created a whole line of products by now that we could take to help with that.
No, you're absolutely right. And, for me, it's particularly difficult because I stopped working in 2010 when my daughter was 1. I haven't returned back into the corporate environment. But because I don't work and my husband travels a lot and he goes to work, the expectation is that I should be able to do certain things around the house to balance the workload. And it's not always the case, and I feel terrible sometimes. He comes back from long travels and he still has to do certain things that I am not physically capable of doing, and that's a very difficult thing for me to handle and to watch.
So how do you handle it?
Open communication with him. I'm fortunate enough that I have a partner, a spouse, who is extremely supportive. That by no means suggests that we have a perfect marriage in any way. But I feel extremely blessed to have him in my life, because not only does he work, he allows me to do things like come to the World Parkinson Congress and be away from from home and from the kids. But we talk a lot, and when things, I think it's just communication, open communication.
Has that changed since your diagnosis?
Has what changed?
Your relationship with your husband?
Certainly, for a long time, and I think this is probably, I don't know if it's a cultural issue or not. I went through a very dark period of anxiety and depression, and it wasn't something that I had experienced before, so it was new to me and it was new to him, and I don't think it was something that he understood at the onset. Now he does, after many conversations, many open and honest conversations, but it was difficult for him to understand what was going on with me without having any experience. And we're both Nigerian. He's a British citizen as well, but he's also of Nigerian descent, and this is not something we talked about growing up at home. We didn't talk about anxiety and depression, so that took a few years. I would say about 2 years to get through. And it's really, Parkinson's is a very difficult thing for for marriages to go through. And I feel blessed. This next month we will be 14 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is awesome. Really happy we got to meet.
Me too.
I've been following you from afar, and I love what you do. And I love the messages you put out and your spirit, and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you very much for having me. I've been listening to you, and I wanted to meet you here, so I'm very glad for this opportunity as well. Thank you.
From Kyoto, Japan, for Curious Cast and the World Parkinson Coalition, this is WPC 2019. Visit WPC2019.org to learn about the 5th World Parkinson Congress, a global Parkinson's event that opens its doors to all members of the Parkinson's community, including those living with the disease. Follow updates on this year's WPC on Twitter at World PD Congress, or follow hashtag WPC2019. If you'd like to help to spread the word about the podcast, be sure to rate, give it a 5, review, and subscribe for free. Search for WPC 2019 and When Life Gives You Parkinson's. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and everywhere you get your streaming audio. You can also listen at curiouscast.ca and WPC2019.org. Connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Just look up at Parkinson's Pod, or email parkinsonspod@curiouscast.ca. WPC 2019 is written and produced by me, Larry Gifford. Dila Velazquez is our story producer. Sound design by Rob Johnston. We've got one more day here in Kyoto. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Canada may be known for its landscapes and friendly people, but beneath the surface lies a darker side of crime, history, and the paranormal. Since 2017, the award-winning Dark Poutine podcast has explored the shadowy corners of the Great White North and beyond, delivering chilling tales from a uniquely Canadian perspective. Hosted by Mike Brown and Matthew Stockton with over 300 episodes and fresh releases every Monday, Dark Poutine is your weekly ticket to the creepier side of Canada. Listen to Dark Poutine on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, or wherever you get your podcasts.